400 million years ago, the Earth was a very different place. The Earth was much warmer, had higher oxygen levels, and most life was in the oceans. Land animals were mainly insects, and only a few woody trees had evolved. Around this time, a group of fish evolved called coelacanths. This strange group of fish was halfway between ray-finned fish, the traditional fish we usually think of, and tetrapods, animals with 4 legs that would eventually leave the seas. Around 66 million years ago, around the same time the dinosaurs vanished, the coelacanths also vanished from the fossil record. Oceans cover more than 70% of our planet, and just 5% of this has been explored and charted. We all hear these statistics often, but it's still hard to imagine there is really that much mystery right beneath the surface of the waves. So imagine the surprise of South African fisherman Captain Henry Goosen in 1938 when he pulled up a 5-foot-long fish in his nets that he could not identify. This massive fish looked like nothing he had ever seen, prompting him to call the curator of a local museum. After consulting with several experts, a shocking conclusion was reached. This living fish was none other than a coelacanth, a fish thought to have gone extinct with the dinosaurs. We now know there are populations of coelacanth all around Africa and Indonesia. Though it is rare, it is very much alive. The world's oceans hold an unbelievable amount of biodiversity, but they are also being degraded at alarming rates. We've touched on the issue of plastic pollution in the ocean. Plastic bags and other plastic products can be ingested by animals, killing huge numbers of sea turtles and other animals. But an even more insidious problem is microplastics. Invisible tiny plastic particles circulate in the ocean and bind toxic particles to them. They are then ingested by animals at all levels of the food chain. The toxic particles are then transferred to the animals that ingest them, poisoning them. Microplastics are destroying the precious biodiversity of the ocean. 25% of the ocean's biodiversity is housed in coral reefs. They provide homes and food to a vast number of ocean residents. But around the world, coral reefs are dying. Warming ocean temperatures due to climate change are causing mass bleaching events. A bleaching event is when warm temperatures cause corals, which are animals, not plants, to eject their zooxanthellae, the marine algae that provide the coral with food through photosynthesis. The coral can sometimes survive these events, but it puts a lot of stress on them. In 2016 and 2017, back-to-back bleaching events resulted in the death of over half of Australia's Great Barrier Reef. We also pollute the ocean with oil spills from tankers and offshore oil drilling. When the Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded in 2010, it polluted an area the size of Manhattan that remains polluted to this day. It killed hundreds of thousands of sea turtles, marine mammals and birds, and trillions of fish. But most ocean pollution begins on land. Runoff of agricultural fertilizers and pesticides makes its way to the oceans and enters the food chains. Here at the Brandywine Zoo, we host 4 hermit crabs. These crabs act as ambassadors to raise awareness for all the issues they face in the wild. Pollution makes it difficult for these crabs to find new shells as they grow. Coastal pollution makes it hard for them to navigate beaches and tidal zones, leading to strandings on the beach and higher predation. These crabs are also taken from the ocean in huge numbers, not for food, but for the pet trade. These difficult animals are not easy pets, but so many people want them, they cannot be bred fast enough and must be taken from the ocean. So what can be done about all these overwhelming threats to our oceans? A lot of the other environmental actions we discuss in this series help the oceans, like reducing our waste. But we also need to be careful what we eat. Overfishing is a serious threat to our oceans and destroys ocean food chains and biodiversity. Always check to make sure the seafood you eat is harvested sustainably. It's also important to be a responsible traveler. The ocean starts at the beach, and in Delaware, we are never far from the beach. When you visit, make sure you take all your trash with you. Don't disturb the environment, and don't disturb sea creatures like nesting horseshoe crabs. We rely on the Delaware estuary for recreation, clean drinking water, carbon uptake, and food production. It's up to all of us to protect this resource.
Now it's your turn. Using the materials I provided, research the degradation of the oceans further and think critically about how you can help solve this environmental problem.